Okay, same for this picture. I think it was taken with the layout in mind. In fact, maybe the art director have come up with the layout first, and then the photo was shot with all the different ingredients and spices scattered on the table to add to the feeling of the freshness of all the ingredients. Okay, but when it's like this, then I will ask you to think about it again, because I think it depends on the positioning of your F&B outlet. You might want to think carefully what sort of image or vibe you want to communicate. The image or vibe that's communicated in this layout and the way these photos are presented is very different from the one just now, which is this one. Okay, so you can see the difference. Okay, let's talk about colors for a little bit. Nowadays, there's is not is becoming where there are no rules anymore. But in the past, there are actually a lot of studies done about what sort of colors are good for people to create an appetite. Like, why is McDonald's red and yellow? Because red and yellow are the colors that actually make people feel like eating. Okay, because these are the colors of a lot of fruits and vegetables in nature, as well as green. But when you go into the cooler side of the spectrum, like your blacks, your purples and blues, very, very few foods are these colors. So they are not typically known to increase somebody's appetite. But nowadays, I find that this has changed a little bit. There are no fixed rules anymore. I mean, when we think about the Tiffany Blue Cafe, it's so blue, everything is turquoise, but it works, right? Because that's the Tiffany color. You're communicating the brand more than you're communicating the food. And blue cakes, I mean, why not, right? All of you have grown up looking at rainbow cakes on Instagram, and I don't think that affects your appetite as much as the past. So I would say use it carefully, have a spare thought for it, but it's not like a rule anymore. Okay, how do you use colors in the menu? A lot of times, whether you use colors in menu is also dependent on the cost. Like something like this menu here is very, I can imagine it's just black and white, right? So if you want to print it on paper and mount it on a board or on a clipboard, it is very easy to do. You can do that with your own printer. But if it's something like this, you want a bit of color, you use like your desk jet, your printer with ink, it's not going to work for a restaurant because once it touches water, it's going to smudge. Okay, so when you use color, it has to be professionally printed, or even something like this, black background with white words. But a word of caution, if you want to use this, make sure you don't have too many words. Make sure your words, you choose a font that's easy to read and that there's a lot of spacing so that it doesn't become difficult for customers to read. Or you can even, I mean, nowadays the trend is using pastel colors, so you can, have your menus done in a lot of different colors to communicate the vibe, very fun and young vibe. This would be good for tabletop placemat menus because you can have different colors printed because you have so many anyway. Or you can use a lot of different colors. Okay, this is something I would imagine is a bit of a Mexican or Cuban vibe. So all the colors chosen are very, very bright, and there's a lot of different fonts going on. Again, it takes a lot of trial and error, a lot of experience to do something like this without looking cluttered. Or just simply having the background to be a light blue and the words using purple. Based on the color psychology that we learned earlier, it's not good to use blue or purple, but somehow I think this menu works, right? It doesn't throw your appetite off or anything, which is why I said colors, use it, think of it as a guide, but there are no rules. Or something like this, okay? Make it different. Everybody is doing black and white because it's cheap and easy to produce. Then use black printed on yellow paper. It creates a very different vibe and it draws customers' attention. Okay, now we have put all of you through a bit of software training. However, there is canva.com nowadays. Please go there and take a look. They have many beautiful menu templates that you can use without spending too much time. It is perfectly okay to use a template. You can change the font, maybe change the color to customize it. But yeah, do make use of these tools. If you're comfortable with softwares like InDesign, like Okay, PowerPoint, I'm sure all of you are capable of using. Go ahead and use them, no problem. PowerPoint is actually very powerful, forgive the pun. There are many, many things you can do with PowerPoint. So if you can create, I'm sure you can create a beautiful menu out of PowerPoint, but please don't make it like a PowerPoint presentation that is so flat and straightforward. Look at some templates and draw ideas and inspirations. Okay, now let's look at some menus. What do you guys think about this menu? Frankly, I find it's a little bit uninspired, a little bit boring. Okay, the way that its name is okay, big greens, small greens, but the individual items like grilled chicken Caesar, garden cob, classic cob, it's not very exciting, and it's a little bit hard to read, in my opinion. Something like this, a lot of different fonts, similar to the wine list that we had earlier, but I feel that it's a bit too much. Okay, it's a bit too much. It's a bit shouting in my face, and I don't know where to focus first. We must always give customers a focus. There must be enough breathing space in between, in the columns, in between the sections, which I think this one doesn't have, and too many items shouting out at the same time. Oh my goodness, something like this is just a headache. I might just walk out of this restaurant because I wouldn't know where to look. It is such a headache. So keep it easy to read, okay? Even if you're targeting at teenagers, I think there is certain rules that not rules lah, certain guidelines you can follow, like having white space, having clear demarcations between your sections, having focus points that are important, okay? Something like this. See what I meant about having not more than 7 items per menu. Having too many, seriously, is like asking somebody to study for an exam, isn't it? I think definitely the menu items can be cut short. The spaces in between the lines can be a lot more. And when you write everything in capital letters, it just looks unfriendly and shouting. So try to have enough white space in between your menu items. Okay, that's it. Thank you.